Today we got a few topics we want to talk about. This is our getting to know on the hook. And first topic on the agenda today is fish handling. Um, we've had some comments about our fish handling, and we wanted to address it a little bit. And one of the issues that we've found is that people don't like it when you throw fish in the water. But in actuality, we've done a little research and we found out that um, they actually do airdrops for trout. And from time to time, they will do a stocking program where they'll stock remote mountain lakes with airplanes. And they will be dropping fish from 50 to 150 feet. And the uh, mortality rate is very low. The survival rate is 95 to 99% on fish that are dropped from those heights. And what we've kind of related it to is when humans splash cold water in their face to brighten themselves up, to wake themselves up, is pretty much a similar idea when somebody throws a fish in the water. Um, these stocking programs are dropping fish from 50 to 150 feet up, and most of the fish are surviving. Ben and I, we might release a fish from 3 to 4 feet when we throw them in the water. And tops, absolutely. And what we found is most fish react really well to hitting the water like that. It's like waking them up, like a person would do. And um,
I've noticed myself when you try to gently release fish like walleye, for instance, um, they act like they're gonna die, even though they were barely hooked, corner of the mouth. There's no injury to the fish, but they pretend like they're severely hurt,
yeah,
and they slowly swim away. We've seen it with pike. We've seen it with trout. Um, the thing is, what we've noticed is even a drop like 12 inches, they'll take off right away. Even up to the 3 foot range, off a little bit of a embankment, they take off. So the
we encourage everybody to
look at
to Google it, to look it
yeah.
up, and see that fish are more resilient than everybody believes them to be. Um,
I got something. When we fished Buffalo Pound Dam, for instance, the fish were catapulting themselves into the dam like maniacs. They were jumping 4 or 5 feet out of the water, trying to get over the dam. Even though there's a fish channel for them to swim through, they were trying to get over the dam like salmon do on a waterfall.
And they were literally jumping up and hitting a steel plate head first, and this was not killing the fish. So, for those out there that think that the fish are being harmed when they get dropped in the water,
It's a myth.
it's a myth, and we will stand behind what we. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, Google it. There's a couple places in the United States.
The Alta Lakes in
Alta
particular.
Lakes, yeah, and Colorado and Utah, they tend to have remote lakes stocked by airplanes, and there is actual footage of those fish being dropped in the lakes. So I think people will understand more once they see with the results. There's been studies done since 1950 about dropping fish in the water, and obviously somebody knows more than we do because they're dropping fish from 50 to 150 feet out of a plane, and we've actually watched footage of it. So you guys go out there and do your research.
Now on to the next topic, and I enjoy this one: cheap versus expensive. Now the first thing we're going to talk about is lures. We enjoy the dollar store spoons. Now, on the same level, the 5 a diamond spoons work wonders, but they're more expensive. Now, I like to look at it in this light. If you're gonna use a lure and potentially snag it up and lose it or have it get bit off by a fish, it's better to go cheap, like the dollar store spoon. The rods and reels, well, for me, I bought myself a Berkeley Ultralight, and I broke it within 2 weeks. Now, Dean's had a Shakespeare Ultralight rod since we started the channel, and he's caught some monster fish on it. He's caught carp on it, he hooked a sturgeon on it, and it's held up no matter what we've put it through. That rod is amazing.
Yeah, I've been absolutely shocked. I've caught fish 6 pounds and better, and even hooked a sturgeon, which did not break the rod.
You've also caught about 15 to 20 pound carp on that ultralight.
I have. I've caught 15 to 20 pound carp, and that rod is so durable. I would buy it again in a heartbeat because it's cheap, durable, and the play on it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Now, on another cheap versus expensive, you can go out and buy the brand name hooks, the fancy hooks, and spend
A small fortune.
a small fortune on hooks. Well, we like to go to the dollar store or wherever we can get a deal and buy the cheap hooks. They do the same thing.
Even at a garage sale, we love to buy fishing equipment at a garage sale, you know. Anything to make fishing more affordable. If fishing is so expensive that you can't get out and do it, then what's the point? We want it to be affordable so we can get out and fish more often, go to better locations, more locations, and the only way you can do that is to have the money to do so. And if you're spending all your money on equipment, you're not going to get to those places as much as you'd like to. And we realize that there's some people out there that have lots of money and it's not an issue for them. But there's also a lot of people out there that don't have a lot of money. And we're kind of directing our point of view on those people that don't have the money. The less you spend on equipment, the more you can spend going to fishing holes, the more fishing you can do.
Now, another topic that we want to talk about is fish quality.
Yeah.
Now, since we've started fishing, come to Saskatchewan, we've realized that the majority of the fish here are edible. The pike, the perch, the walleye, and they all taste good.
Absolutely.
Now, in BC, the only fish that we really enjoyed eating was the sockeye salmon. The trout, for the most part, tasted sandy, muddy. Depending on the water quality and where you're fishing for them, they can be hit or miss.
And we also realized that the water in the Fraser Valley is not the best quality water that you're going to find. Now, we've moved away from the Fraser Valley, and we found that the quality of water here in Saskatchewan is not much better, but it's different. And what we've found is that the fish here in better quality water taste delicious, whereas most of the fish that we caught on the coast were not the tastiest fish to be eaten. And of course, it all depends on your location, but we've found that the majority of the Fraser Valley has become quite toxic, and we've tried coho, we've tried pink, and we've tried sockeye salmon. The sockeye was the best. It truly was. The trout, unfortunately, what we found too is that a lot of hatchery trout are being fed chemicals that kind of ruin the taste of the meat. Whereas if you catch a wild trout, it's going to taste completely different than a hatchery trout. Same thing goes for the salmon. You catch a hatchery salmon over a wild salmon, the wild salmon is much better tasting fish.
Now, on that wild versus hatchery, you're not supposed to eat wild trout in the Fraser Valley. You're only supposed to eat the hatchery, and that does, to a point, make sense. Because the wild stocks are so low that they want to preserve them, which makes sense. Now, something we've realized here in Saskatchewan, the numbers of fish that are stocked here compared to the stocking in BC is a far cry.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount, if you look at the stocking report, the numbers they stock here, even in Manitoba and Alberta, um, a lot more fish are being stocked, and they're not obvious. In BC, for instance, the trout, the adipose fin is clipped.
They're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be.
But in actuality, we found that most of the trout were being clipped. They were rounding the tails. They were clipping their side fins, clipping fins that really we didn't think was proper, seeing as how they were telling everybody you can only keep fish without the adipose fin. And we found maybe one out of every 5 hatchies had the adipose fin cut off.
And that's with stocked lakes.
Yeah.
Now, here, even though the numbers of fish that they stock are far greater, there is no sign on the fish that it's a stocked fish.
That's right.
There's no fins clipped. There's no sign. Okay, this is a hatchery fish. The only way you can tell is the meat quality. And I've filleted a lot of perch and a lot of walleye since we've been here, and there is a difference when the fish are wild versus stocked. I've noticed a lot of the wild walleye, the meat is more, depending on the water, if there's lots of freshwater shrimp, it's pink like you'd see in wild
Not
trout.
really pink. It's almost yellow.
Yellow, but again, it's different.
Yeah.
There's no real.
The hatchery, we found the hatchery walleye tend to have more white, completely white meat in comparison to the wild walleye. And that's pretty much the only way we've been able to tell the difference between the two. Next topic on the agenda here is weather conditions here in Saskatchewan in comparison to other places that we've been. Well, we've had a hard time getting out fishing at a lot of times this year, especially through the winter. It gets cold here, really cold. Like right now it's minus 29 degrees, and it feels like minus 38. Now,
The wind.
and then you add the wind to that, and it's absolutely nasty out there.
We don't have an ice fishing tent. We plan to invest in one. But again, the amount of time we spend out on the ice is not really worth the investment at this point.
Well, it is, but
It
we
is,
just
but it
haven't got
isn't.
around to it because of other obligations. But we will, sooner or later, have an ice tent, and we will be spending more time on the ice. What we found is the weather conditions on the coast, you can pretty much fish all year round. There's open water all year round, and we used to really enjoy that, of course, but the excitement of catching fish through the ice really added something to our fishing here. And so we're not going to say it's bad or good, it's just the weather conditions really
Make it challenging.
make it challenging, absolutely.
And on another topic, our thumbnails. Now, we've been getting a lot of suggestions from our creators, from our studio, from YouTube, and we wanted to be unique. We've seen a lot of YouTubers out there putting thumbnails of the fish, putting their faces and making funny facial, expressions, and we wanted to stick with scenery shots, shots of the lake, and we thought that would give us, as the terms of YouTube, a niche.
Yeah.
Niche. Yeah. But
Any which way, we thought we'd be more unique, and people would notice who we are simply by seeing that we do a landscape for our thumbnail rather than showing the fish. Now, on occasion, we have done other thumbnails, and we haven't seen a noticeable difference between the viewership with the thumbnail showing us holding a fish or making a funny face or whatever the case may be. What we found is it's pretty much been the same whether we put a landscape or not, and so we're going to stick to our landscapes because that tends to be our signature when it comes to our YouTube show. And on to the next topic anyway, guys.
gear and knots.
Yes.
For the most part, it's basic. We do basic. We don't try to get into the fancy knots or fancy gear, period. We will get more into how we tie our knots and what we do. I've preferred, since we've come here, Dean's knot. It's something he taught me how to do, and now I'm doing it religiously. I find it's a strong knot. It works. It's easy. There's not a lot of distraction to the fish. We've done tests with the steel pickerel rig versus our homemade setup we do. And what we've noticed is the steel distracts the fish. And the more swivels and the more weights and the more things you put on your line, we've noticed the less bites you get.
That's right. Or the fish are so distracted that they'll actually hit the weights, they'll hit the swivels, and they'll hit the steel bars that are making up your pickerel rig. We personally find that the less gear you put on your line, the more chance the fish will not notice they'll notice your bait rather than your gear.
Back again, folks. The battery was dying, so we had to quickly switch.
Anyway, guys, we go as basic as possible because of several reasons, but mainly because we find that the less gear, the less the fish are distracted. The less gear you use, the cheaper it is. The less gear you use saves more time. And time's a big issue. Now, we do plan on spending more time explaining what we do, and you'll be seeing more of that in videos to come throughout this new year. So just look out for that, guys. We'll give you a rundown on what we do, and hopefully that'll appeal to a lot of fishermen out there. Anyway, on to our next topic here, and our plans for 2025. We want to spend more time
explaining how we locate fish, where we cast, where we figure the fish are going to be, just on our experiences that we've made.
Ben and I have spent many years fishing, and we have learned a lot about where the fish are and where to cast and what to use to catch the fish. And we will be doing more explaining of how we managed to find the fish. I mean, it's not rocket science, it's fishing, guys, and it's as simple as knowing where the fish are. And you spend enough time fishing, you realize where the fish they're gonna hang and where they're gonna be. And that's why we end up catching quite a few fish, and we're still learning. Fishing is a learning experience. You can never stop learning when it comes to fishing. And so Ben and I, we're still learning, and we're loving every minute of it because it's a never-ending process. Every fish is different, and every fish requires a different tactic.
And every season is different.
That's right.
We've come to the experience, open water fishing, we have no problem finding fish. River fishing, it's pretty easy to figure out, okay, there's a back eddy over here, there's a calm pocket over here, there's a deep pocket over here, and the likelihood of a fish being there, pretty high. Now, me personally, I've not spent much time ice fishing. This is the most ice fishing I've done in my entire life, and it's tough. We don't have a sonar, we don't have a fish finder, we have an underwater camera, but if there's no fish and you can't see the fish,
if they're not near, they're not going by the camera, you're not seeing them.
So it's a learning experience. Like Dean was saying, I've learned a lot since doing this channel.
Absolutely. I had very little ice fishing experience before we came here, but I guess I had a little more than Ben, but that's only because I lived in Prince George for a while. But we're learning as we go, and the more we learn, the more fish we'll catch, and that makes all the difference when it comes to doing a fishing show, of course.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to be more educational this year. We're going to try to share with everyone that's watching what we've learned. We're not very talkative. We don't we don't like to talk and talk and talk about nonsense and things that really aren't relevant to what we're doing. So it's hard to just fish and keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. I don't like it myself. I don't like talking and talking and talking and
Our personal view is that, and we watch a lot of fishing shows. I mean, that's what fishermen do. Anyway, we watch a lot of these fishing shows, and we see a lot of guys, and they do a lot of talking, but they're not really getting anything across in what they're saying. And we have a tendency to, when we watch a fishing show, we don't want the guy we're watching to talk constantly, but because we don't enjoy talking all the time, we're concentrating more on the fishing than we are on talking about it. Well, we will be taking more time to talk about what we're doing.
no, everybody's different. Some people enjoy the talking. Some people like the constant talking,
Yeah.
but we don't, and that's why we haven't done much of it. That's why you'll see, we hook a fish and we talk a little bit about the fish and what we're doing in the moment, but there's not an hour video where 45 minutes of it is just us talking about nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, on another note,
Yeah, on to the next topic. And we wanted to do some shout outs to all of our viewers.
first of all,
Yeah, go right
our
ahead.
family and friends. Our family, for instance, my parents, friends, close friends who've been watching the show since the beginning, who've been loyal followers, and to all the people out there that have stuck with us from the beginning, that after our transition from BC content to starting to put out foreign content, so to speak,
No, Saskatchewan.
content.
But what we find that's happened is that we're starting to appeal to more overseas viewers and American viewers, and so we'd like to do a shout out to all the American viewers and our overseas viewers, because it's really making a difference in the show.
It's uplifting for us to see our algorithm grow, the stats from the foreign places, the States, Europe, places, Asia, places
Russia.
that we never thought we'd get views from. We want to thank
My
everybody.
kids, want to thank my kids for getting us started on YouTube, because Ben and I just love doing this. We really do. It doesn't even matter if we get big or not. We just love doing it. But we also want to thank everybody here in Saskatchewan who has helped us through the transition from British Columbia to here. And we've really, it's made a huge difference when we started getting a good viewership from here in Saskatchewan. The fishing, we love the fishing here, and we want to thank everybody who's watching. And hopefully we'll get more people on board as time goes by. But anyway, guys, we want to thank everybody for watching, and thank everybody for subscribing and supporting us along the way. We only plan on doing more. We want to spend more time outside of Saskatchewan. We want to go to Manitoba and Ontario. They're definitely on our agenda for this year. If all goes well, we'll get a chance to go to Ontario. We've already been to Manitoba a little bit, but we still want to do more there.
There's a lake in Manitoba that I've been doing research on, and that's Dauphin Lake.
And we'll be making a trip there this year.
That's one of our big bucket list trips for this year. Last year it was Lockport Dam,
That's right.
and this year hopefully we'll be able to make it to Dauphin. There's a ton of fish species in the lake. The big ones that we've seen other YouTubers make videos on is
Drum and
drum
smallmouth.
and smallmouth bass.
Yeah. Although the lake is well known for its walleye fishery, but we are really interested in catching the smallmouth and the drum, because those are fish that we did catch smallmouth on the coast,
Yeah,
but we've caught very few
big
big drum
smallmouth.
and big smallmouth.
And
So-
the other thing is, this year we plan to try and catch species that we have not caught yet.
And there's still quite a few species that we haven't caught here in Saskatchewan, and we will get to them. And if you stick with us, guys, you're going to see a lot more videos, a lot more fish, and we're going to try to explain more about what we're doing so that maybe we can be a little more educational. And we're loving every minute of it, and we're hoping that we're going to get more and more people on board to watch, because this is what we want to do. We absolutely, when we're not fishing, we're thinking about fishing. When we're not fishing, we're talking about fishing. So this is exactly what we want to do. And very few people get to do what they really want to do in life. And we're loving it, and we're hoping that we can go further and further with this.
And get more and more views. Share the videos, like them, subscribe if you haven't already. Every like, every subscription, every share helps. This month, for the month of December, we had more likes than ever before in a single month.
That's right.
It was over 200 likes, and I'm just using 200 because that's what I remember, but I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna double check that. You talk about something.
Well, you guys, we have looked into doing more boat fishing, but the issue we had this year was we were working a lot, so we didn't get a lot of chance to get out and use the boats. We do have a 15-foot canoe and a 12-foot aluminum boat, but unfortunately we were unable to get out over the last year due to work and wind. Unfortunately, Saskatchewan's really bad for the amount of wind we get here. It's kind of obvious, seeing as how there's no mountains in the area.
It was 212 likes in the month of December. And
I was wrong, what can I say?
That was the most likes we've ever seen in a month.
I believe so.
And thank you all for liking our videos.
Absolutely.
We had 9 shares and 17 comments. Keep it up, everyone. It keeps us going. It encourages us to keep going. Like Dean said, this is what we want to do. It's our dream to make this a full-time thing. To do this full-time, to go fishing full-time, to travel, to go to the States even and target fish, to go to Europe and target fish in Europe. I mean, my family's from Germany. I never got a chance to fish Germany, but I sure would love to go and do some fishing.
Absolutely. And one of these days we're going to get a chance to do all those things, guys, and we'll hope you'll stick with us, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Getting to Know on the Hook.